All right. Hi, and welcome to episode 62 of the Codependent Knitters. I'm here with my friend Lisa.
And I'm here with my friend Dawn.
And we're coming to you from two places in Ontario. It's very sunny. It looks like it's sunny where you are today, too.
It is.
It's sunny.
It's very sunny, which is kind of
Yeah.
nice because yesterday it was rainy. But yeah.
It's sunny here, too. We're going to kick things off with a giveaway from the make-along that we just finished at the end of January, which was the winter accessories.
So your hats, mitts.
We asked our friends.
Hats, mitts, scarves,
hats,
shawls.
mitts.
Did we say shawls?
Cowls.
Yep, cowls.
I can't remember. Maybe not.
Okay.
Yeah. And we asked our friend Siri to pick a random number. And Siri chose number 46 out of 146 entries, which is awesome. Number 46, Lynn Clary. And she knit the dancing dragonfly mittens.
You know what?
And I'll put a picture here.
They look beautiful. They're stunning. I love that pattern.
They are.
Did you see?
That is such a fun pattern. And you know,
did you see the new pattern she has out? Because the dragonflies come in a hat, mittens, cowl, and a sweater.
Yes.
Yes, they're so pretty.
And if mittens, I was just thinking that is a perfect project for our current make-along, right? The technique.
I didn't even think
new
of that.
to you technique. Yeah. But if mittens are a little bit too involved for you, the hat, the dragonfly hat, well, she has more than just the dragonfly pattern. She has several, but the hat is an excellent pattern as well.
Do you see the new camping one she has?
Yes.
The camping sweater. I'm not
beautiful
a girl, but it's so.
We didn't even say who that's by. It's
it's Gray
Owl Mitts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. And we'll put a link to that about we'll not a link. We'll put the name of that pattern and the designer in the notes down below. And you've probably seen it was a few previous episodes when I showed my dancing dragonfly mittens, which I don't have handy here, but gorgeous.
Yes, it's a gorgeous.
So congratulations, Lynn. And Lynn, you are going to win. I have this skein from Yarn Inc. It is merino chunky. It's her Stella base. Merino with a little bit of nylon. And it's just this beautiful plum color. So Lynn, get us your address. You can send it to me on Ravelry or our email address, codependentknitters@gmail.com, and we will mail this out to you.
You know what I just thought of?
What?
Do you remember sitting in Sarnia in the coffee lodge? We just thought of this and we came up with that we were trying to think of names and that one came up.
We had a list of a few. Some of them were taken.
Yeah. So much fun. So okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's okay. Flashback memories. This is all about memory. So we have a few other make-alongs going on. We have I'll talk about the first one, Lisa, the year-long sweater make-along.
Yeah.
So 1 adult or 2 kids counts as 1 entry. WIPs that you started before this year are included. Bonus entry if it's your first sweater. So bonus entry means you get to enter it twice and you get 2 chances to win. So that's going to go all year long. We'll pop in occasionally with some prizes for that as well. I did have someone ask me, Lisa, for ideas for round neck sweaters. So this was just a comment on our YouTube video. So I had replied that, the ones I've done, I like a round neck. Not like, well, I like a V-neck too, but I don't
like it too tight.
Neither do I. I think she wanted something that didn't come too high. So my best advice, I mentioned a couple that I've knit, and I have also taken, if I liked a neckline, I've also taken it from another pattern and just used that neckline, right? If you don't like too high of ribbing, don't do too high of ribbing, and then just do, right.
And the other thing to consider, like I really like the way that a sweater that I knit by another designer, a Steingass fits. I like the way it fits around the neck. You can remember that you don't have to do the color work in a pattern if you like the shape of the sweater. That's
Exactly.
important, right? And it's not, it's easy enough to do, you know, as a beginner sweater, just one without the color.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I mentioned, of course, the super simple summer sweater, right?
That one's
Which
easy
does
too.
have ribbing, but you don't have to do the ribbing. You can do it wider. So some people will cast on the number of stitches for a larger size, but then you just will increase.
Continue to
You have to
yours.
monkey with the increases. Raglan, it's a little bit easier, but that's one option. Or just don't do that much ribbing,
The
and
other
then
thing too is if you don't want to do ribbing, much like your sweater there, if you
mhm,
did 2 rows of garter stitch, that'll tend to hold it a bit, and then you can
yeah,
just do the sweater.
yeah.
Um,
And this one is um, a purl row,
okay. Yeah.
right? So yeah, so there's modifications, but basically look for a sweater, like look for one of the neck you like, and if you can find a free one that you can copy the neck style from, that's great. But you know, the ones I've done, super simple summer sweater, the Woodrow by Isabel Kramer, I that's kind of like this
Yeah.
neck. I love
Well,
the
that's,
neck on that.
there's a couple of hers I really like the shape
Yeah,
of that. I'm
yeah,
kind of like, like
yeah.
the
And
what's one she just did with the Gretchen is nice, and so is the one she just did, the black one with the flowers embroidered on it.
yeah,
That's a nice one
oh
too,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah. So if you're still stuck and really need some advice, you know, just message us. You could message us on Ravelry, and maybe we can send you a few suggestions to your Ravelry ID.
Mhm.
But you can also search in Ravelry on features. You can do advanced search, and there might be an option for a round neck. You know, that's something you can try. It just depends if the designers put the applicable tags into the pattern. So yeah.
So
Um,
we have whip your whip.
whip your whip. Talk about that one, Lisa.
That's basically any work in progress that's been put on hold since before January. Is it before
Yeah,
January? Yeah,
started
before January.
before this year.
Yeah, starting before this year. Finish it up and enter it in. And that one, I think I have it says it goes to the end of March. Is that
Yeah,
right? Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So that goes to the end of March. Um,
Mhm.
I think I have a really old one. I have to dig it up. I think I'm going to finish it.
Okay.
Just,
Awesome.
yeah.
I
Like someone
have
asked it
actually,
yesterday. I was like, "Ugh." So
I
yeah,
have three today,
you have.
three
You
old
want,
whips that I finished. Yeah.
you want to talk about them now because we're
Nope.
talking about them? We'll talk about
Let's
them.
keep going with let's do a quick recap of our
Okay.
make along.
And then do you want to talk about the new to you?
Yep.
Okay. You want me to do it? You do it.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I'll do it. So it's new year, new to me technique, and it's a year long as well, but we've broken the year up into three segments,
Yep.
and each segment has a theme. So the first theme, Lisa,
Is color work. Now, color work I do a lot, but I have to pick a new to me technique, and that can be color work where I've never done an entire color work sweater. I've never,
Mhm.
so that would be like a step up to what I would normally do. So it doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily have to be a new technique, but it has to be expanded on. You know, you could
Yeah.
do color work with 3 colors instead of 2. You could try a different style of color work, like mosaic. I've, you know, slip
Mhm.
stitches or that type of thing. So that's
Right.
yeah.
I would say stripes aren't really color work because you're changing colors and then knitting in one color. So where you're using at least two colors, and
Yeah.
usually two colors is the
Now,
most common.
I would say stripes if it was your first sweater.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of it's a gray area. So let's say no stripes unless
Okay.
it works with something else.
Okay. We want to do color work. Okay. So related to color work, what advice do you have, Lisa, for when you're knitting color work? What are some
Um,
tips and advice?
I would depends on how you feel. If you're doing more than one color, for example, I did a sweater for my daughter and it had rainbow stripes in it with hearts, and they were all hearts. I put a lifeline in because if I started knitting and I didn't like the way the color looked, I would pull it
Mhm.
back to the lifeline. So lifelines and stitch markers at every repeat. So you're knitting
Mhm.
along stitch marker. If you don't end up with the same last stitch, you can go back and check this much instead of
The whole
this
row.
much. So
Yeah.
that makes it a little bit more efficient. But the big one is if you haven't decided, I mean, if you're doing 2 colors, then it's not a big deal. Go crazy. But if you're doing something like the Merry Mint by Natalie Sheldon, or Primrose, and you haven't bought by Marie Wallen, if there is color options and you're just not happy with the color option, it is not fun to rip back two colors. One, you need a friend. Dawn helped me last time. You need a friend to do one ball and you do the other. But it's also harder to pick the stitches up because you've got color work and all this other stuff in. So that's why I would suggest a lifeline for something that's color all over. In case, you know how you get, I find sometimes it looks really nice side by side in the ball, and then you start going and it's like, oh, those colors are too close because you're missing the details of like the one stitch or the two stitch. So yeah.
I have a tip related to that thought. So what you can do is, if you have two colors and you're not sure, you know, how they might look, like Lisa said, when they're in two skeins, you've got a lot of color, and then you think, oh, they look great. What you can do, and I'm just trying to find two different colors here where I can show it. What you can do is take like a ruler, a piece of cardboard, whatever, wrap, like, so it's, you know, next to each other, wrap one color around, and then stick like two wraps of the next color, whatever your main color, your background color, and then alternate them. And then on your little swatch card, which is just bands of color, just have a look at that and see how you like that, because then you're getting those little quantities. Yeah,
that's a really good one.
It's also handy for order of color. So if you're planning a multicolor work project where your color work's going to change, then you can do that too and just see if you like that order.
Right. And the other thing is, when you're doing color work, you need to check your gauge all the way through.
Yeah.
Right. Because sometimes if you have, I go back to the Merry Mint pattern, but sometimes if you have bigger design elements, like where there's a big, I think it's a snowflake, when you do that, you might end up with a different gauge than if you were changing the colors every two months. I also do two-handed fair isle and color knitting. That's just preference. I've tried the other way, but I always end up doing it and like halfway through. So that's kind of something to consider too.
I thought I had this morning, actually, when I was thinking about our episode. You want to, when you're working on color, so here's my sweater, right? When you if it's top down, you cast on, you're on a smaller needle. As you get going, if your work is really scrunched up on a small needle, the floats can be too short, like, right? Like, because it's so scrunched, and you're not going to wear it like that. You're going to wear it like this. So what you can do is change to if you're using interchangeables, change to a larger cord, or if you're using fixed, switch to a slightly larger circumference. The other thing you can do is, as you're knitting, you know, if it's all scrunched up, just spread them apart as you do your color work. Just kind of move those stitches a little bit and not stretch them out like crazy, but just how the fabric will look when you're wearing it.
Now the other thing too is, like you said, I would go to a bigger needle or cord. Not just because of the float, but because it's easier to see where you make a mistake.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And if you don't want this odd little crazy floating stitch, which if there is like an odd one or two, you can just duplicate stitch, not rip all the way back. But if, you know what I'm saying? Like if it's spread out a little bit, you're better able to see your gauge. You're better able to see the color work and how it's working out. So that's kind of,
Yeah.
Recommended all scrunched up.
Yeah. So those are kind of, you know, the things that I thought of. And some people do go up a needle size. So when I do color work in a sock, I've done that, go up a bit in a needle size. So that section is just a little looser, especially if it's a sock where you got to fit that cuff. If it's color work in the cuff, you got to fit it over your heel. So you need a little more give.
Eons ago, I did a test knit for Natalie Sheldon, Remembrance Pottery, and it was those really cool plaid ones. Do you remember those? They're really, I still love the pattern, but I am such a tight knitter. They actually looked like seersucker because they would come in where the color changed. So I had a really hard time with that. I'd still like to try them because I do like them. But I'll have to do them on like a 10 needle size, 10 needle sizes bigger. But yeah,
All
so
right. Well, I hope everyone finds a little bit of a stretch project and gives something new a try in this colorwork theme. Our next theme is from, that runs from January to April, end of April.
yep.
Our next theme, May to August, is lace. So it doesn't have to be full lace, like, you know, a doily or a full crocheted lacy tablecloth or bedspread, but it has to have lace in it. So it could be a sock with some lace on the cuff. It could be
It could
a
be like
hat.
the sweater you're wearing.
It could be like this Ranunculus, which technically has some lace in there.
Yep.
And, or, you know, a shawl.
Yep.
Lots of options for that. But we just want to, you know, get people to stretch a little bit. So if you've done some simple lace like yarn over knit two together before, maybe pick a pattern with something a little more like a feather and fan, whatever.
So this one is totally out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of lace. I don't find it as relaxing as other stuff, but I'm gonna give it a whirl.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think of is it's almost like the same advice for color work. Put on a lifeline and use your markers for every pattern repeat.
Yeah. Those are the two biggest tips.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the final,
too much.
Yeah. The final one, September, December, is the theme is twisted or cables. So somehow you're manipulating the order of your stitches.
Very cool.
Yep. So we should move on. What are you wearing?
Okay, so it's a bit chilly here, and I am wearing my the first weekend I did by Andrea Mowry. It's with the Aran weight. It's been discontinued, and it's in River-esque. So,
and I love it. I remember you wearing that sweater one time when we drove to London and we went to knit night at Knit Stitch.
Oh yeah.
And I just, that color, you know, is my jam.
I love
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
But they do have Arranmore light, and if you carry it, like if you double it, then it's the same weight. So yeah.
Okay.
It's one of those ones where it's like a big old sweatshirt that I put on. On cold days, you can catch me wearing it with like my track pants and my slippers. So yeah. And what are you wearing?
I'm wearing my Ranunculus. You've seen it before if you've been watching this for a while, but I thought I'd wear something with some pink in it because today that we're recording is Valentine's.
It's Valentine's Day.
Yeah, so it's the Ranunculus and a very popular pattern. And it is in Jenn. She's a dyer in Quebec. Jenn Pure DK, and the colorway is Pour Some Sugar. And you can see.
It always reminds me of rose gold, though.
It's very, yeah, it just, I love it. I love it. This Pure DK base of hers is 100% untreated extra fine merino. It is not a superwash, and it is the softest thing ever. You'd think it had, like, I held mohair with it. It's got some halo. It's just so soft. So if you want a non-superwash yarn, and I haven't checked today if she's still dyeing this base. I hope she is, but her Pure DK is beautiful. So I still have 2 skeins of this, I believe.
Sorry, I wanted to write that down because I wanted to call and see what I want to check it out.
It's so nice. Yeah. So that's what I'm wearing.
Very cool.
All right. I talked about, earlier, right? I mentioned I have these, I finished some WIPs.
Yes.
Which makes them FOs now, but they were languishing WIPs. They weren't like a project I just continuously worked on. So I was thinking they're finished WIPs, which makes them FWIPs.
Whip your WIPs.
WIPs. They're FWIPs. And I have 3. So I had literally a pile, maybe a mountain of project bags sitting on the floor right down here beside me. And I went through them thinking, I got to figure out, I don't even remember what's in them. I have to figure out what's in these. Well, probably 4 of them had yarn from finished projects. So the project bags are sitting there with the yarn, like the leftovers, right? And the bag is sitting there. I think 1 or 2 had needles still in them. So I emptied those bags and then I got to some projects. So I think this is the oldest one. So this is a flashback. I'm going to put this on.
So I know.
Remember the Bernie Saunders thing?
Oh
My
yeah, do you
Birdie
remember how
Mittens.
everybody went crazy?
Yeah. And I used purple. I believe a couple of these yarns for sure are Barocco vintage.
Hmm.
And the gray might be a Cascade 220
Hmm.
superwash. Not
Yeah.
totally sure. But I think I modified the pattern just a little wee bit in terms of
Oh, nice.
spacing.
They're nice though.
I love them. So I have my birdie mittens all done. You know what needed to be done on them? Guess why they were sitting. Guess how much I had to finish? Thumbs? One. One. One thumb. One thumb. Look at how big this thumb is. One thumb. 2 years old.
Oh
So
my gosh,
so yeah, those are my birdie mittens.
that's hilarious.
My next WIP. Finished WIP. I started in April 2020. Oh, this is older than the other ones. Okay. Ready? Do you remember we did the Robbie Laughlin
Yeah,
knit-along?
yeah, they're
Yep.
pretty.
These are the urban Aran Mitts. And so they're in a heavier yarn. This is Cascade Eco Plus. The color
Oh,
is
nice.
Aporto.
Okay, yeah. Beautiful stitch
Aporto.
definition on the braid.
Gorgeous. Yeah.
The braid, the cable.
Yeah.
Hey,
And
you
there's
could do
some
that for our last knit along.
good. You could. Aren't they beautiful? So these are going to be my, in the car when it's not quite cold enough for mitts, but my steering wheel is cold. So this will be nice and warm on the steering wheel, but I still have fingers free to touch the whatever I need to do. So not my phone, but touch. Now the cars have the screens.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So they're Urban Aran Mitts by Robbie Laughlin.
Mm-hmm.
Canadian, Ontario designer. He has some fabulous designs. If you haven't seen us talk about him before, probably back in 2020,
Right.
then check him out now. So the 3-year project.
It's
Guess what needed to be finished on these? Thumbs. Two at least, but 2 half thumbs. 2 half thumbs. That's all.
I love it. I love it because you know what? I would do the same thing. It's the same with I knit so fast till I get to the heel. And then I have to stop and think about the heel. So I leave them and I just start another pair. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's the same with mittens.
Always thumbs. I've never liked doing thumbs. When I was younger, my mom taught me to knit on DPNs to knit mittens because she used to make mittens for everyone, like the figure skating club, the neighborhood kids. We all had mittens, and so I never liked doing the thumbs. I know how to do them. Like, that wasn't the issue. It's not that I couldn't. They annoyed me. Like they're small. You got a few little stitches on DPNs. They just annoyed me. Yeah. So I used to leave them, and then my mom would visit me, and she'd do the thumbs for me. So yeah, I just set them down thinking, well, I'll do the thumbs tomorrow. 3 years go by. So that's those. And then
we're all guilty of it in some way. Like yeah. And then you look at them all and I do a bunch of heels and then I can start doing them again.
Well, I'm thinking I could have been wearing those for 3 years. So another one, not so old. I started these roughly in July last summer. I didn't make a Ravelry project at the time, but I know from what else I was knitting. Yep. So I might have shown them as a WIP way back, but they're the Magic Heel socks, the worsted edition, which I modified slightly to have one big cable. I think her pattern has 2. But the Magic Heel is a ribbed heel. It is by the Autumn Acorn. Mm-hmm. This yarn I just used Cascade 220 worsted. Mm-hmm. So it is not. Yeah, they're house socks for me. They don't have nylon, but I'm just gonna wear them on super cold days around the house. So I'm not too worried. And it's like very economical. If I happen to wear a hole in them, then I know, okay, don't do that again. But they're easy enough to darn or to knit a new pair or reknit, whatever. Okay, I had knitting socks in worsted weight is so fast. Like if you need some nice warm socks, I think I knit
you made a bunch of those, didn't you?
I did. I made some gifts for friends. We had gone out together at one friend's cottage, and it was her birthday, and I made her a pair, and then everyone brought little gifts for each other, and I made socks for everyone. So nice. I love these. So that's my finished
Nice.
Whoops. The sock is not crooked. It's just crooked on my
Leg
plastic foot.
and your leg.
There, ta-da.
It looks
So,
good. I love it.
the color of this yarn, it's the Cascade 220. I believe it's the Cascade 220 Heathers, and I believe the color is 9452, which is a light turquoise.
It's beautiful.
I think I have a sweater quantity in this. I love it. I love this color, but
There's
obviously,
somebody doing a sweater knit along for the whole year.
yeah. Well, maybe I'll finish my if I finish 3 sweaters that I have on the needles by the end of March, then they would count for both. But I can't
hear you.
I can't win prizes in that one, but those were the 3 WIPs from before 2022. So the others are just regular old FOs.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about have you got a WIP?
I have a work in progress that should be an FO, but I didn't finish it last night.
Then it's not an FO, it's a WIP.
So I'm still doing my dad's sweater, which is the Henley neck down pullover for men by Knitting Pure and Simple. I think her name's Diane. I always forget.
I've got it here.
Sconcy or Scos?
Susie, isn't it Susie?
Susie, that's it. I'm knitting it in the Donegal Wool Spinning Company yarn. It's really nice. It's Donegal Studio Donegal. It's a green. Oh, it's flying. It's like a dark green. It's nice. So I have everything except for I have to weave in the ends and do the band across the neck. So it looks
So we'll have to consider this an FO because you'll probably give it to him before we record again, right?
I maybe, yeah. I might.
Yeah, but it's almost done.
Yeah, so it's almost done. I love this yarn. I love obviously I've knit I don't know how many times with it, but I love it. The one thing I did get that was a bit different is my father is very much about like buttons, and he was wondering what kind of buttons he should get. Buttons. And the last couple, like he got pewter buttons.
Oh yeah.
And they look nice, they look great. But I said to him, I said, why don't you get something different? So I actually suggested, you remember the old cardigans used to get, and they'd have like the leather buttons with the little X on the front? So you can find them in stores, but they're usually plastic. So I headed over to Etsy, off I go. And there's a place called Trim Gems on Etsy, TRIMGEM, and they do vintage buttons. So I got these vintage buttons, and they're real leather. You can actually smell the leather on them.
Oh wow!
The pressed. I can't really get in to get a half decent picture. It's kind of hard. Like they're weird.
If you can get a nice, like if you can put them on something and get a nice photo.
I have a really good photo of them. I'll send you the photo, and it looks really good with the sweater, because I actually have one where the sweater's laying down and I put them across there. But I'm really happy. They took a little bit longer because they came from Florida, but given the fact that they came from Florida, it did take a long time. So I was really happy with them. And I ordered 5 in case a couple go missing. That's the only thing. If you use vintage buttons, you need to make sure that you don't have just one, you got 2 extras.
Okay, good idea.
So yeah, I can't wait to put it all together.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be nice.
Stay up another night.
He'll like that. Yeah. And that's a project that you can be done with, and then you can start something new.
Right, and then I could start a color work sweater.
Yeah. I have in terms of WIPs, so going along with our color work theme this month, I'm finishing up. I started these, I think, in December. I showed them last episode, but my little sockies here.
They're so cute. I love those.
Yeah. There's the heel. Let me make them look like a foot here. I should have put them on there. So this is the Scraptacular Socks by Carly Perrin. And that pattern, when you buy it, comes with 3 different sock patterns. So this is the fairy ring pattern that's in that trio. And in the pattern, it actually has this color where it goes all the way down and you can change colors. It's her sample is beautiful. It's all very muted colors. And so I just did 2 at the top because I had a mini. This was a 50-gram sock set from Legacy Fiber Arts, and it was from their Christmas
It's stunning.
Advent. Yeah, the Sunday Advent box. So you got 4 sets for each Sunday in Advent. Yeah. So I did 2 repeats here and 2 before the toe and then the toe.
Nice.
So my second sock, I've just started the color repeats, the color work
on the
for
toe.
Before the toe.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's coming along.
For sock, I have socks.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
I had to put it on Instagram because I just I love it. So anyways, this is Timber Yarns Tuxedo. Now tell me this isn't my jam.
That's your jam.
So it's like a different 4 different stripes, marl and grays. So I have both sock legs done. I think I'm going to try a different, I'm telling you this, so I have to try it. I'm going to try a different heel. I think I'm going to do the little heel flap and then the fish lips kiss.
Okay.
So that's what Adrian always does, and I keep wanting to try it because I find sometimes with the afterthought heel or a short row heel, it's just not long enough for me at the back.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do the extend the gusset a bit, and it tells I forget the name of the pattern now. Give me 1 second. It's I don't know. You know what? I'll look it up and you can put it at the bottom.
I'll put it in the notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Down below.
I can't remember what it is.
Okay.
I just wasn't there, so I didn't print it off yet.
So do you change colors? Like, are you going to do that in just a solid so you don't interrupt the stripes, or do you keep going in the stripes?
I'm going to make it in a solid because I have ta-da. So I have I think it's licorice.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to see the marl, but it's still marl. Do you know what I mean? Like, can you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's marl. Yeah. So that'll look really good together.
And that colorway is available now on Timber Yarns website. Yeah. There's the 4 grays. There's one that's just one gray and the natural. I have and then there's the peacock blue. So she's got all 3 out right now.
Nice. Yeah. This all started with the sooty Santa.
Yes. And
you're a marl.
There are more colors coming. So follow Timber Yarns because what she has planned is it's going to blow 2023 away. It's fantastic. A really nice change up for self-striping sock yarn. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait to see what other colors she comes up with.
Yes. I'll briefly mention, I've talked about this a lot because I've, as a WIP, because I've had it on my needle since last summer. I believe I'm going to restart it. When I first tried it on, it was way up here. So I had most of the yoke done, I think, and it looked fine. I tried it on again the other day, and there was too much fabric up here, like right in the chest. Like, look at this sweater, just lays nice. And it just looked really bunchy, and it's not even like steamed and blocked. And I just thought, I don't know.
When you chose the size, did you do what Patty Lyon suggested?
What?
Where you measure higher up?
No.
No? Are you going to try?
No, I chose for my full bust, which I've been doing on my last few sweaters, and they fit fine. And it could be my gauge. I'm not sure. I'm going to try it on again, and then I may try just steaming it and see if it's just a matter of the fabric being still kind of lumpy bumpy, because the yarn is a chainette, so it's a quite a thicker lumpy bumpy yarn. So it's just, but I was like almost done. So it's just on a timeout while I decide if I want to do that. But even though I'm almost done, if it's going to bother me and I'm not going to wear it, what's the point? So I'd rather reknit it.
I'm totally on that boat with you. I would just as soon reknit it.
Yeah. I'm not going to like frog it and give up because I love it. Yeah. So it's just that I love it and I want to love wearing it. So I would just redo it a little bit, like one size smaller. Yeah. Yeah. So I won't go through all my WIPs. I have a lot, but those are the sort of the 2 I've been, the socks I've been really working on, and I've been finishing up the FWIPs I already showed.
I know. And then, okay, so I have another WIP. That's,
Okay.
This is, I've decided to do, my girl child asked me for this, and she wants a pillow, a heart-shaped pillow. So I'm using the Palpitate by Hunter Hammerson, which is still available without the, what's it called? Patron? What does she call
Oh,
it?
Patreon?
Patreon.
Patreon?
Yeah, without the Patreon. So it still is available on Ravelry. And
Okay.
this is the bottom half of the heart. Now,
so it's actually a tiny little thing in fingering weight.
And the pattern is this big, but I've decided that we're going to do it this big, see how it works out. And I'm using Bernat Blanket Brights.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes.
That's the like the chenille, the blanket.
Yeah,
one,
it's like
right?
a chenille feeling, but it's what
Gorgeous.
she wants. So, and the only thing is, I went down like a lot of needles, like a couple of needle sizes, because you have to, because you don't want to see through it, right? And
right.
so yeah, it kind of, yeah, it's cute. We'll see how it looks.
I love it.
Yeah.
Nice. That'll be a quick knit.
Right. So
Yeah.
I just gotta sit down. It takes a little bit more thought to do than it does to do the triangle. So I'll sit down and figure that out.
I have another. So are we done with WIPs?
I'm done with WIPs. Totally done with WIPs.
Okay. FOs. I finished my Musselburgh hat.
I like that colorway. It looks good.
Yeah. So it's the Musselburgh by Isolde Teague. And this is the Handmaiden Fleece Artist National Parks, Canada National Parks colorway, Banff. So this is the single ply merino.
Oh, nice.
Look at those colors.
It's beautiful with the green and the teal and the.
Yeah. And I actually did wind off about half the ball and alternate because I was getting, once I got to the width I wanted, I was actually getting the color kind of almost exactly half and half, like the color part would be.
Yeah, no.
And so I just alternated skeins, which in helical knitting, which is super easy. And then I soaked it and just like laid it out so it would be even out the stitches. So this does not look like a hat, but if you haven't seen this hat.
So did you helical knit just for the long part and then use just one skein for the?
I just did the whole thing, and then once I didn't start, but I can't remember which end I started at. But once I started the helical, I just kept going till almost the end.
You started at the other end. Look at the other end. You can tell.
Why?
Look at that end. Okay. Now flip it inside out.
I'm trying to tell by the stitches.
Well, like hold it out. No, hold the whole thing out. Because the one end when you turned it had a bit of pooling. Yeah.
Yeah, right there.
Right? Yeah. So that's why you changed your mind.
Yeah.
I know you.
And I actually kind of expected I would have to do that. Like, so I was prepared, but yeah. Okay, so tuck it in. It can be slouchy.
Okay, so
or you can fold it up. What?
Somebody asked me about what this slouchy pattern that you're using is. And I explained to them that it's slouchy is just the way you wear your hat at the back and it kind of slouches over. And it's just an extended decrease.
It's longer. Yeah.
Right? And they were kind of like, oh.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I said, you can make pretty much any hat slouchy. It's just you extend the decreases. And they were kind of like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they liked it.
I just love this.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to go in the bin for my charity sale or if I won't keep it for me because I already have a favorite one, but I love the yarn. Mm-hmm. One ply fingering, so soft.
Well, you can come to my house. I figure no one can have enough hats.
I have another skein of it. I should make matching mittens. I have one more. So I finished another pair of socks.
Nice. Oh, I like
these are a little bit crazy town. So this is another of the patterns in the Scraptacular Socks Cuff Down Trio by Carly Perrins. And this one is the agate sock. And I actually only used like this part from, because it does this all the way down. So if you want a color work challenge, there you go. And the yarn is Holiday Peppermint by Rose Hill Yarn. and it's
Okay.
actually a DK. It's a DK with nylon, and I bought it last Christmas, like 2021, but she
Okay.
did the same colorway again in 2022.
It's a pretty
And
color.
then I
really
used,
like it.
yeah, it came with a mini, which was a little bit lighter aqua color, but I used, so this is, it was in a grab bag that I got from Yarn Indulgences. So it's a DK. And then the pink was a mini skein from, and the darker pink on the ends was also from Rose Hill Yarn. She had a mini skein set in DK. So
Okay, nice.
it's super fun.
Sometimes it's hard to find the odd, the thicker yarns with nylon. So that's nice that she has that.
Yeah, actually a lot of dyers are doing that now, DK with nylon. So that, and it's only like 15-20%. I think most of them are 20% nylon. So you have the option of using them for socks, or you can use them for anything else, and it's still lovely yarn. It's very soft. So yeah, I just did some little ankle socks. Wild and crazy. Yeah, they're colorful. I have some stash. You want to see?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Frankie Gray Fibers, if you're not following Frankie Gray Fibers, that's Jody and her daughter, Jody from the Grocery Girls.
Yeah. Okay.
And oh, look at her little, it's a sticker. Aw. Oh, cute. The cat is Frankie. So I have a little mini bulletin board on the side of it's the side of a bookshelf by my desk. And I have a big one in front of me, but I put all my little knitting stickers. I just put them on my bulletin.
Oh,
I
nice.
stick them on the whiteboard. So I just stick them on there. So I'm going to put that one there.
I know where you are. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I have Frankie Gray Fibers on the needles on my little oysters, which is getting close to being done. I'm not going to show it today, but yeah, I'm holding it with their mohair as well. So recently she had put up a post that she had some DK sock tubes with coordinating minis available. And I ordered a couple because I really like the colors, but also if you've been watching us, you know that I have a sock machine back there out of the way. And my sock machine, I don't know if I have the same size cylinder she uses, but I did do one tube in DK, and I kind of wanted to see how hers fit and see if I want to buy the smaller cylinder if mine was a little too loose. Regardless, I've got some almost fully finished DK socks. So this is one color. And does it have a name? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, this was oh no, it just says DK yarn sock set. But isn't this pretty?
You know what that one's called?
What?
That one's called Knit Your Friend Lisa Socks.
You know, I might get 2 ankle socks out of this. We'll see. But that's really super pretty. And then it comes with 2 minis. And this one actually is you can kind of see the little flashes. It's a Stellina.
Yeah, you can see the sparkle.
Yeah, this one's a natural. And then this one, which is really interesting color. It's like a mauvey brown. It's showing a little more purple on my screen than it is.
You know what? Doesn't she have a bag like that?
Maybe. I'll have to check my the light color on my order says Evermore.
Okay.
So if that's a regular color, you could look for that, Evermore. And then the darker one just says Sock Tube 4, so it may be a one of a kind. Okay. But it's I really like it. Yeah. And it came with the gold and the natural as well. So super easy way to get some DK socks, although they do knit up super fast. But I just thought
hold the dark one up again, up higher. I like the green with it.
Well, that's just the waist. That's the waist yarn, but
it looks nice. Might be enough.
This has gray. So this would look really pretty with a gray solid heel, right? Super, super cute. So yeah, so I ordered those. That's my new stash. I've been behaving because I really don't need much.
Yeah.
Actually, okay, I have one digression. So for my birthday, which was in January, my husband said, he actually said to me, well, how about he said, all expenses paid trip to Little Red Mitten. He was going to drive me there to do some shopping. And I said, what would my budget be? And my son was walking by and he said, $200. And I'm like, that's pretty good. And, you know, Ryan said, okay. And I'm like, and then I said, well, I don't really need anything. So I did look at the website and I was like, I know, right? I have so many sweater quantities right now.
You know
It's not
what?
even fun.
That's what happens when you have when when you go looking for something, you don't know what you want, but when you're
Yeah.
not looking, it just kind of
Yeah.
falls in your lap,
Like
right?
just to have money to spend. It's like there was nothing that I've been waiting to buy.
Right.
There was one book, but they were out of stock. And I don't need it immediately. It's just a book I was going to buy for a few patterns I'd like to knit someday. So I said, okay, well, I'll wait and see, because right now there's nothing I really need. And I'm a very impulsive yarn buyer. Unless I have a specific pattern, which most of the time doesn't happen, where I have to go find yarn for it. I'm like very impulsive where I'll just see yarn and think, oh, I love that. And if it's something I could do a sweater in, I would buy a sweater quantity right then and there, or I'll buy a couple skeins. So, you know, that didn't work. But my little friend, Sandy in St. Thomas, sent me down a rabbit hole. So there's a quilt pattern. I'm going to put it on the screen. Sandy showed me this. It's a pre-order for a kit for a quilt pattern. It's kind of like a throw size quilt pattern, I believe. And there are a couple different websites selling it. The pattern is called the Flower Vase Quilt by Tilda. And I believe it came out last year. So Tilda is a fabric company as well. So Dinky Doo in Canada is selling pre-orders for this kit. It's like mosaic.
Holy crap-a-molia.
I know.
Wow.
So it's supposed to be out this summer. They're going to have the kits like with all the fabric colors that you need. There's something like 40 fabric colors.
Oh my God.
They're all solids. And then there's a method of doing this where instead of just piecing them like you normally would, it's a fusible grid. So it's got grid lines on it and it's a thin interfacing and it's fusible. So you actually put your squares on them and iron it. And then you fold along a line and sew a seam so that you do sew it. It's not just, you know, glued on.
Okay.
But it's supposed to be like the bomb for doing. So I have never done that. I've only made 3 quilts, but yeah. So I said to my husband, with the Dinky Doo right now, the pre-order's on sale for $1.99 Canadian. So I said, okay, I want to get this for my birthday. So I bought that and it'll be coming in the summer sometime. So 2 days ago here was Super Bowl Sunday. And I've done this for the last few years. As you know, my local quilt store, because you don't live here anymore, my local quilt store, Stitchery in Petroleum, has been doing this for a few years. They put on a Super Bowl Sunday sew day. So it's a mystery quilt one-day get-together. During the pandemic, they did it virtually, and that's when I started. So you get to see fabric kits online, but you don't know what the quilt is. Mm-hmm. And it's something that's like beginner friendly, like it's you know, but it's not boring for the advanced quilters, but it's, you know, easy enough for a beginner quilter to do. So I've done it the past 2 years. This year was my 3rd time, and this is it's not finished yet. This is one of the big blocks.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah. So my kit actually had a darker fabric, like a darker greeny brown, which I didn't love. It doesn't really go with my house. And then I decided I'm going to sub this blue in.
Blue is choice.
This is me. Yeah. And this is what the pattern will look like, except nice. They doubled the block. So instead of 2 by 3 blocks, it's going to be 3 blocks by 4 blocks. Okay. So it'll be a bigger size. So yeah, so I do have actually, these 2 are sewn together.
Nice.
You can kind of get an idea.
That's nice. Good job.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun. And then it will have, there's an outer border of white just to frame it. And then there's a wider border, and I'm in this blue again.
Oh, nice.
And then the bind.
So you bought the blue, like you bought the blue at the same time?
I bought it afterwards, because when I got home and saw the color in my house and in different light, I just thought I'm not wild about that darker greeny brown. And I thought, you know what? this might look good with like a tealish color. So
Mhm.
this is in the teal wheelhouse. It's not quite as greeny blue, but
It's beautiful. It's
that's
gorgeous.
exactly how it looks. So it's my jam, right?
Yeah.
And if you're a sewer, can I just quickly say, I bought these, they're hair clips. They're like alligator, I think they're called hair clips. They do not have the teeth on them, the serrated edge. Some do. These are just flat. These are the bomb for sewing. Like you just clip it on and they're longer. So I really like that.
That's nice. It's a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you just remove them as you're sewing, right? But they're fantastic. They have a really strong grip. So that's just marking where my top was. Okay. So yeah, so I did that this weekend, the quilt.
Nice.
Quilting.
Nice. It looks good.
I still haven't finished the 2 quilt tops from the previous 2 years. They have to have the border put on them, but
Okay, so this weekend, I saw that you posted that, and I was like, oh, I said to hubby, I said, hey, it's Super Bowl weekend, right? And he says, yeah, how'd you know? And I'm like, oh, I have my ways. Dawn's sewing.
hey, Lisa, we're going to run out of time because I got that warning just a few minutes ago. So I think that's all we had for today,
That's
right?
it. Yep, that's all I have.
All right. Well, that's it for now. We're going to try and be back in 3 to 4 weeks.
Yay!
And yeah, and we look forward to talking about knitting with you again. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed us, please give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We're so glad that you come back and watch us, and we're so glad for the people that participate in our make-alongs.
Happy knitting. Take care.
Yeah, make time to make something.